Durden, how are you today, sir?
I'm all right, sir.
When you consider a neighborhood, is there something that you're looking for in that neighborhood that would pique your interest?
Yes, sir, there are. There are several things approaching a neighborhood from a criminal perspective that you look for, key things. First and foremost, I look for settled homes because people whom are of a socioeconomic status should be able to afford a particular type of home, usually have disposable income. Meaning from my perspective that they have jewelry or ready cash that's available to be taken. Middle class homes get hit less in burglaries just because of that. From me anyway, from my perspective. In a neighborhood, I'm looking for well-kept homes, yards with really nice fences. Because if you can afford a $10,000 fence to go around your home, then I'm sure the inside of your home is very nice too. The things that'll keep me from going into your home like that are easily displayed. A lot of alarm systems these days, they have availability of being wireless. The reason they do that is because it's easy for an individual to walk to the outside of a person's home and pull the wires out from the box that goes to the alarm system that's wired into the telephone system, cut those wires. If you cut the wires, even if you do trigger the alarm system, it's not going to send a message to the company, so you don't have to worry about it. But with a cellular system, that's not the case. With a cellular system, you have to. It's a lot more inclusive, and it's hard to get the things that you need to defeat the system. It's really hard to find anybody selling a cell phone signal blocker. So, the threat of just have someone having wireless will make me step away from their home.
Let me ask you this. Sure. People often ask us, well, what about dogs? If I have a big dog that barks, is that a deterrent?
Sometimes it can be, especially if they're extremely aggressive. But not always. Dogs can be a deterrent, but if you come to the front door and I knock on your front door, and just for personal knowledge, people that have these beautiful see-through front doors that I can see all the way through their house, that I can see from the front of their house to the back of their house, I can look from side to side into their home. If their dog's barking or whatnot, and their dog's running around, no matter what size the dog is going to understand that it's not the alpha male of the house. So it's going to run and try and find somebody if somebody's there. So sometimes a dog can be a telltale sign to me. Sometimes a dog will run over to a room and look and run back, and I'll know that person's not answering the door, but they're home. Because a dog's not going to do that under normal circumstances, unless it's a really, really big dog that's really, really aggressive. My MO was I would disconnect the alarm system. Sometimes there would be a dog, and sometimes I would go up to the window and put my hand out just to see what the dog would do. If it's an extremely small dog, it's not a deterrent, period. But a large dog that's real aggressive, it's going to make me think, do I really want to wrestle with this dog and have to spray him and still risk being bitten by a sprayed dog who's really mad at me? That sometimes can be a deterrent.
Let me ask you this on the same neighborhood question.
Yes, sir.
There's usually two things that come up. The dogs, which I think you've covered well. What about a nosy neighbor? If you're going through a neighborhood and you see someone, looking out the window at you, or maybe they walk out their front door to look at you, is that a deterrent?
Oh, most certainly. I applaud the efforts of Neighborhood Watch, because there have been so many times that I've gone and cased a neighborhood and stayed away from that neighborhood because it was obvious to me that there were people out walking, that they had the VIP program, and it makes a lot of difference. It'll totally deter me from even going anywhere near that neighborhood.
Really?
Yes, sir. Because I don't want ever to enter into a situation where I'm confronted by anyone. So that's the whole reason of casing the homes. I'm not a home invader who would go in and tie people up. I'm a thief. I'm not proud to say that, but that's what I am. I'm a thief. And I don't want to come in contact with anyone, especially someone who can later identify me. Neighborhood watch programs work. People may say, no, they don't, or he's been told this or that or the other to say it, but no, I'm speaking from my heart. I'm telling you that I've went through Allen, some parts of Allen, and saw the VIP program and got away from it. Some parts of Plano and got away from it. Some parts of Richardson, I don't even go in Richardson because people in Richardson are so aware of who doesn't belong in their neighborhood. You drive down a cul-de-sac and make a turnaround, people are watching you, you know. Parts of North Dallas are the same way. VIP program does work.
Let's talk more specifically now about the house.
Sure.
If you you go through the neighborhood, a particular house draws your attention, what is it about the house that you really want to pay attention to as to whether or not that's a house that you want to go in or pass by?
People need to empty their mailboxes. People need to have their neighbors pick their older newspapers up out of the lawn. Even if they're not there, for most burglars, I won't go in a home that doesn't look manicured because I don't believe that the people there have the money to manicure the lawn, therefore they don't have expendable income. But if you're in a neighborhood that's median income's probably $250,000 between the spouses a year, and the yard's not manicured, I just think they're on vacation. And I will go to that house. So picking up the mail, making sure that your neighbors take care of it. Also, like with their trash cans and stuff, instead of pulling their trash like on trash day, that's like a big thing. You can go through and see who's home and who's not just by the trash being there or not, by driving down the alley and looking. That's a big thing. From my perspective, I'm a personal trainer. That's what I did besides crime. I jog a lot. So it would be nothing for me to go through the neighborhood and not be noticed. I mean, I have tattoos, but I wear long sleeve shirts that wick moisture, so you really can't see my tattoos. If you stop me, my vernacular is not that of the common criminal. So with that said, I would case neighborhoods on foot by jogging or walking and look at homes. And the homes that I'm looking for specifically have mail, specifically have newspapers. They're unkept to a specific level depending on the neighborhood. The front of the house, I'm looking for alarm systems that I know I can defeat that aren't wireless. If they're wireless, I'm not even going to attempt it. I'm not going to waste my time because there's going to be a response extremely quick. And I was parking my vehicle a mile away, and I can't run a mile in 4 minutes like some people can. So I would be on the officer's radar, you know, jogging away from the home with valuables. But the front of the house versus the back of the house, the front of the house, I'm looking for visual pathways. What I mean by that is being able to see through the front windows into the home, or from the street at that, or from the sidewalk rather. And if I notice that there's not very many lights on in the home, or any lights on in the home, I'm going to walk up to the front door and knock on the front door versus ringing the doorbell. Now I'm going to knock and knock and knock until it's just pestering to make sure nobody's there. But in the process of doing that, I'm looking through the glass windows and those really beautiful doors that I mentioned earlier. And I'm paying attention to reflections and shadows inside the home. You can't do that when there's lights on in the home. I mean, I know that neighborhood watch tell people you need to keep a light on your home when you're not there, and that's true because it's a deterrent. But don't put the light on in the front room right by the window. Put the light on in the center of your home where it's not easily seen, because you may be a person may be occupied with the internet or television or movie or headphones, and if I can't see shadows coming from that light, it makes me weary. And I don't do nighttime burglaries, I do daytime burglaries, but you can still see into a person's home and see light. And it makes me as a burglar weary to go into that home. So that's a really good deterrent, but just not in the front. Because if you're in the front and I can look and see your light source, and I can look at the light, knock on your door, and nobody comes, and I know they just turned the light on because they're not home. Right.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right.
Do you look? Does it have anything to do if there's vehicles in the driveway or in the garage? Or?
Yes, sir. I'd spoken with a detective about that, particularly if I see a vehicle parked in the driveway or in front of the home, I'm most certainly not going there. It's a waste of my time. Why would I do that when people that aren't home generally don't park their cars in front of their homes?
Right.
And as I said, I didn't want to come into contact with anyone. That's a major deterrent. Also, there's small appliances that people can buy that are timers. They can turn their lights off and on. They can turn a stereo off and on. They can turn a television off and on. They can turn a pre-recorded noise of your choice, your voice, your dog barking, any of that on. That's a very good device, and it's very useful, because if I come to your door and I knock on your door and it has a ultrasound or sonic, whatever it's called, a detector on it, and it sets it off when you knock on the door. Who is it? Right? I'm like, well, lots of times I'll walk away from the door before anybody even gets there because I don't want to be seen. So it would deter me from actually going to that home.
I know you say you want to look to see, across the house from the front to the rear. Once you feel comfortable that there's not a dog in the house and there's nobody home, what's your next step?